Hi guys, welcome back to the DevOps bucket. So in this video, let's talk about Kube-Proxy, which is the component of Kubernetes. And let's discuss about end-to-end in this video. What is Kube-Proxy and how does it work? Why Kubernetes needs it? So please watch the video till the end. First, imagine a solution for the problem. Okay, let me explain that. Okay, you deployed an application inside the Kubernetes. That Kubernetes application will run as a pod. You know that, right? Pod 1. Okay, and now here's the problem is pods are temporary in nature, as you know. Whenever pod deletes, then the IP changes and the name of the deployment is also changes because some hash value will be added to the pod as part of deployment. So whenever you restart it, or whenever the pod is died, or it moved to from one node to another node, whatever it may happen, the pod will be restarted. So if another application, let's say P2, is now contacting P1 for some information or to do some processing. So as per the previous discussion, the P1 is stopped and restarted. How does the P2 know about P1? Right? So in this scenario, we require a service discovery. Right? Service discovery. What is the service discovery? Service discovery is basically to adding or to provide any some standard DNS name, fully qualified domain name for your pod in the Kubernetes cluster so that other components in the cluster can identify it within the cluster. Right? So as the pod is temporary here, we cannot identify it whenever it restarted or replaced. So to solve this problem, the service discovery concept came into picture. It will provide a fully qualified domain for your pod, which other pods or other components inside the Kubernetes cluster can easily identify it. The resolution, everything will happen through a component called core DNS. I explained about the core DNS in the previous video. If you didn't watch it, I will give that link in the iCards and the description also. Please go and watch about the core DNS because these components are very important in your Kubernetes cluster. How the service discovery will be enabled? Using a concept called Kubernetes service. A Kubernetes service gives your application a stable IP address and a DNS name, even though the pods behind it changing. But the question comes in your mind is how does traffic sent to a service IP actually reach the correct pod? Let's say this pod P2 sent some request to pod P1 through the service discovery because the pod P1 now has a fully qualified domain and or static IP coming from the cluster IP service. How does Kubernetes ensure that the traffic is reached? Like how it will make this happen whenever a pod sent a request to P1? Because service here only IP and the DNS name for your pod. Nothing else it will do. It will only exposes your pod to the outside world or within the cluster. That's it. It won't do any of your routing. Now let's understand about Kube-Proxy because this routing and these things will be done by the component called Kube-Proxy. Okay, now let's understand about Kube-Proxy. Kube-Proxy is basically a network component. It's called a network component inside the Kubernetes cluster. And it will run on every node. Okay, it should run on every node. Okay, it will be running on every node. That means it's a daemon set. Okay, it doesn't run inside your application pod as a sidecar or something, or it doesn't run as a deployment. It should run as a daemon set on every of the node which is at a node level and works closely with the operating system's networking features. Its main responsibility is to route the traffic from services to the pods. Once you reach to the service through the DNS which provided by that service discovery concept, and that routing it's done by the Kube-Proxy component. Let's break down step by step. Okay, when you create a service in the Kubernetes, for example, there are three types of service types, you know, right? Which is ClusterIP, NodePort, okay, NodePort, and then load balancer type. Right, these are the three basic services of the Kubernetes cluster. A Kubernetes, any of the service that you have used, Kubernetes creates a virtual service IP and a port and a list of backend pods selected using labels. So these three processes will be done when you create a service. You create a service for your deployment. It will gather the endpoints and through the labels that you used within the service, by using selectors, and it will provide a virtual IP and a port. But Kubernetes itself cannot forward that particular traffic whenever you hit that service DNS. So here Kube-Proxy watches the Kubernetes API server and constantly asks three questions. One is that, are there any services that present in the Kubernetes cluster? Which pod belongs to which service? Did any pod get added or removed? So what are the three questions it will ask? Any services that are created, first one, and second one is which pod belongs to which service. So it will see the pod to service mapping, and then third thing it will do is it will identify whether the pod is removed or created. Okay, pod is removed or created. So these three questions will ask by the Kube-Proxy to the Kubernetes API server to gather the information. Based on the information, Kube-Proxy programs the node networking rules. Now let's talk about how Kube-Proxy actually forwards the traffic. Till now we discussed what is the service discovery, how the pod is getting IP and DNS, and how the traffic, which component will helps you to actually route the traffic, what's the Kube-Proxy, and what it will ask the questions to the API server to get the information. Okay, now let's see how it will do. Kube-Proxy work in three modes, but in real world we basically use two modes. Okay, let's talk about the most common two modes, which is very helpful. First one is IP mode. Okay, what is this? First one is IP mode, which will be called as IP table mode. IP table mode. So Kube-Proxy works in one of the mode called IP table mode. It will create a IP table. It will create? It will create one IP table like this. It will create one IP table within the nodes networking configuration within the each node. These rules tell the Linux kernel how to route the traffic, right? So what it will do, it will just add the IP mapping to where the traffic should go once it reaches to this. It's like a route table in your AWS. Like that, here Kube-Proxy will create an IP table mode, IP table rules on each of your nodes networking, so that these rules will be read by Linux kernel, and the kernel will identify to route which traffic to which IP. When the let's say when the traffic comes to a service IP, the kernel checks the IP table. The IP table randomly selects one of the backend pods. The traffic is sent directly to that pod. This means no proxy process in the middle, and it will fastly do this operation, very scalable. This is why IP table mode is the default mode in the most of the clusters. Okay, so in a nutshell, what the IP table mode will do, it will create an IP tables inside your node networking. The node's kernel, the operating system's kernel, will identify this route table, and when the request comes to a service IP, it will identify to which pod IP it should route that request using this IP table. Second mode is IPVS mode. Second mode is IPVS mode. IPVS is designed specifically for load balancing. It handles millions of connections efficiently parallelly. Big production clusters actually uses this IPVS mode. So this IPVS mode is basically a IP virtual server, and it's like a kernel level load balancing. It will uses a Linux built-in virtual servers to manage server traffic. It actually uses the hash tables for faster lookup. We have some hash tables. IPVS will be incorporated into the Linux virtual servers where it run on host. As I said, whenever a request comes in, it looks for the hash mapping of the IPs, and it will directly transfer to that resources. Okay, this is a IPVS mode. So now let's continue to see how this entire workflow will work in our clusters. Let's understand with a real-time traffic example. You have a service called backend service. Okay, this service has a service IP, let's say 10.96.0.10, and port is 80. Okay, so backend pods are in this is the service. Okay, this is having the cluster IP service, and its service contains the pods like pod 1, pod 2, pod 3. Okay, so when request comes to this particular domain, okay, whatever domain, it will resolve to this particular IP, right? Finally the resolution happened to this IP at a port 80. The request hits the node. Okay, the request will hits the node. The Linux kernel checks the IP table or IPVS hash mapping to identify which backend pods it should transfer the request, or it should forward the request. Kube-Proxy is already installed the rules saying that for this service IP, forward the traffic to these pods. So due to the load balancing techniques of IPVS and the IP table mapping, it will choose randomly any one of the pod like P1, P2, P3. The traffic flows directly to the pod. So after this, it will work in the round robin fashion. So it will select P1, P2, P3 and P1, P2, P3. Okay, the traffic directly flows from the service to the pod, which will done by the Kube-Proxy. Now let's talk about NodePort and load balancer services. Here we see about the ClusterIP, right? So when you create a NodePort service, Kube-Proxy will open port on every node. As we know, NodePort is basically opening a port on node itself so that we can access via node IP. Node IP colon port, right? So whenever you do that, Kube-Proxy will opens a port on every node. Any traffic hitting that port on any node gets forwarded to the service backend pods. So here we have three types, right? One is ClusterIP, which I have explained now. So ClusterIP, it will come to this particular IP using the IP table or IPVS. It will forward that to the pods. And coming to the NodePort, whenever you use the NodePort proxy will opens a port on every node. Whenever request comes to that node, it will go to a NodePort. It will go to that particular service. And from the service using this IPVS again, it will go to the pods. So ClusterIP is the base. On top of the ClusterIP, you will do NodePort or you will do load balancing, external load balancer. So even in external load balancer sends traffic to the NodePort, and NodePort will transfer it to the actual service, and actual service will be routed via IPVS within the pods to the within the cluster pods. That's how the traffic will flow. It is done by the IPVS or the IP table mode, which handled by the Kube-Proxy. So in one line, Kube-Proxy, what it will do, it is like a network proxy or a networking component inside the Kubernetes, which will help us to route the traffic from services to its backend pods. It will add the rules in form of IP table or IPVS mode. Which mode we are using, we need to set in the Kube-Proxy configuration. Once you did that, it will establish the rules using IP to IP mapping or IP to hash mapping. Using that, whenever request comes to the service, it will forward the traffic to the pods. Okay, and let me answer some important questions that we generally comes in our mind. How does Kube-Proxy know when pod changes? So as I said, Kube-Proxy will continuously watches the services and endpoints. When a pod dies, a new pod comes up, the label actually changes. The Kube-Proxy will immediately updates the networking rules, either IPVS or IP tables. This is how Kubernetes achieves self-healing networking. If Kube-Proxy is down, what will happen? This is also very important question, right? So pod can still talk to the pod IPs. DNS may still resolve, but service will stop working properly. The traffic won't reach the backend pods. So whenever a Kube-Proxy dies, if you restarted your application pod, the IP rules and IP tables will not be changed by itself. So your pod cannot be receive the traffic once you restarted that service, that deployment. So but existing rules will work for some time, and the service to backend pods may affect your traffic. Kube-Proxy makes a Kubernetes service work by translating service definition into a real networking rules on each node. So without Kube-Proxy, Kubernetes would have the pods but no reliable connection between the services to the pods. So this is what the Kube-Proxy is. How does it work and what are the type of Kube-Proxy? So to identify the Kube-Proxy type, just describe your Kube-Proxy pod and see the type, like it can be IPVS or IP table mode. This is what the entire Kube-Proxy explanation. If you understand anything about my video, please like this video and comment down below what are the topics that you want to learn from us from the next video. Thanks for watching till then.